You can tell the new championship season's close when it's time to go ahead and rank the home kits. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video, and I can't wait to jump in. As always, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you make of your team's home kit and some of the others that have been released in the championship so far? Now, as of recording, 23 of the 24 championship sides have released their home kit for the upcoming season. Birmingham, the only team as of recording who haven't released their home kit yet, so they won't be in today's video. But we're going to be going over all of the other 23 kits that have been released so far. If you'd like to see an away kit ranking, make sure to show your support on today's video. But without further ado, let's jump in. Starts out with the Blackburn Rovers home kit for the upcoming season. This one's got plenty of people talking, certainly an opinion splitter. There are some redeeming factors about this kit which I sort of like, but a couple of things which just break it as a shirt entirely. The first and most obvious one is the sponsor. We spoke about that in length last season, how it's just very odd looking. It's the first thing that stands out really. It just makes the shirt overall a little bit tacky in my view. Now the sponsor does look a little bit better on this shirt compared to last season with the incorporation of the club colours, and you know, with the wording being blue and white in this example. Strangest thing about this one though is the light blue in and around the collar just looks really out of place for me, almost as if two different kits have been sewn together in one. It just looks a little bit unsettling because of that in my view. Since some fans who really like this kit, for me though, only getting a 5 out of 10, not a big fan. Now because of the Hummel situation last season, Bristol City were forced to announce and start wearing their new home kit way back in February, so we've known about this kit for quite some time. Finally speaking about it on the channel though, and I have to say I'm a massive fan of this one. Absolutely love the pinstripes. I'm a real sucker for this sort of design personally. I think it looks really clean. The sponsor doesn't look out of place. It actually complements the shirt if anything. And sometimes a simple tidy shirt like this one just ticks so many boxes, and for me personally that's getting an 8 out of 10, one of my favourites. Next then for the Cardiff home shirt made by New Balance. It's grown on me a little bit since I first saw it, but still not my favourite kit that's been released this year. A little bit odd with the slim white collar there and the single button. Not a disaster by any means, but by no stretch my favourite, giving that one a 6 out of 10. After that for Coventry, and I've got such mixed feelings about this shirt because I feel like everything just fires off on all cylinders, apart from the sponsor, which does ruin this one a little bit. It just looks a little bit out of place and takes your whole attention away from the rest of the shirt with how big that K is there. And having seen pictures of this kit without a sponsor, I actually think it looks infinitely better in that design of the shirt, ironically enough. With the sponsor, I'm just not really digging that one, and I'm around a 5 or a 6, but without the sponsor, I'm up at an 8 or a 9, so I'll go somewhere in the middle for this one and give it a 7 based on all that, because the rest of the shirt I think is banging. After that for Huddersfield's new kit, it's made by Umbro, and I have to admit I am a real sucker for a gold trim. I just think it looks so smart, and I think that with this Huddersfield shirt they've kept the rest of it fairly simple, but with the gold trimmings around the sponsor, the badge and the Umbro logo, just gives this kit that extra little bit of kick, which I am digging to be fair. The rest of the shirt I think is looking really smart. I actually think that's one of the nicer home kits that Huddersfield have had over these last few years, and out of 10 I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I'm actually really digging that one. After that for the whole kit, to be honest, not too many changes from their strip from last season. The stripes are a little bit thinner, but other than that, not too many massive changes to this kit. I personally like when Hull go really outlandish with their kits, really bold, get a bit of a tiger print on there or something really wacky that no other championship club's going to throw in there. For this one, feels like they played it a little bit safe, not a kit that I'll remember as an iconic one in a few years down the line, as some other home kits of Hull have been over the past few years. So this one, just your standard in the middle of the road, 6 out of 10 for me. Ipswich's kit for the upcoming season, I think this one's a pretty tidy one to be honest. Not my favourite for the upcoming season, but I think this one looks pretty smart. Like the subtle red trimmings that this one's got on it, and obviously incorporated in with the blue and white. Smart looking collar made by Umbro, and obviously got that iconic Ed Sheeran sponsor now. All in all, gonna give that a 7 out of 10. Quite like it. This one right here I think is my favourite kit of the video so far though. The Leeds United kit for the upcoming season, made with a subtle design that's not too in your face, but sometimes simplicity can be the best when it comes to home kits especially. I think when you get to away kits you get to be a little bit more wacky and creative, but the simplicity of this one, the way it's got the yellow and blue trimmings that work well with the rest of the shirt, don't think the sponsor's too in your face with this one either, actually complements the rest of the shirt quite nicely. and that subtle design that they've got going on throughout, I actually think that's one of the best home kits Leeds have had in quite some time. All in all, I'm giving that an 8.5 out of 10, my highest ranking of the video so far. I'm digging that one for Leeds. And to be fair, Adidas are delivering with a few of their championship kits this season, because I also like the look of this Leicester one. Definitely think it's an improvement on last season's kit, especially when you stack them up against each other side by side. But at this point, you already know that I'm a sucker for a little bit of gold on the kit, and this Leicester kit has got exactly that on the sort of side panels. It's got a nice subtle design with the imprints of the foxes as well, which is a nice subtle touch. Not quite digging that one as much as the Leeds kit, but all in all, 7.5 out of 10. I'm a fan overall. After that, we get to the Middlesbrough shirt for the upcoming season, and yeah, that's what we're left with. I've seen a few people online who do rate this one, but for me personally, it's just not doing anything whatsoever. Don't know what it is about it, but it's so sort of rigid and boxy and uptight. Everything that a kit shouldn't be for me. You know, I like football kits to be a bit more free-flowing, a bit more lucid, a bit quirky and fun with their design. This one just looks so serious and dull to me, and if you're not a Middlesbrough fan, I can't see any neutral picking that one up off the shelves and going, yeah, I'll rock that one for the day. It's just not that type of kit for me. This one is hands down my least favourite of the video so far, and I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. Sorry, Middlesbrough fans. But then slightly bringing up the levels with the new Millwall kit, have to admit, this one compared to what they were rocking last season, I'd have to go with last season's kit as my preferred between the two of them. But I don't think this one's an absolutely awful attempt, albeit definitely not my favourite Millwall home shit of the past few years. Out of 10, giving it a 6. Solid entry, but nothing to massively write home about for me. Next then, for the Norwich home kit for the upcoming season, this has got a lot of people talking online, and even myself, I keep going back and forth on my own opinions of this one. I'll wake up some mornings and think, yeah, I'm really digging that one. Other times I'll wake up and think, what on earth were the kit designers thinking? My thoughts on it right now, though, are probably more positive than negative, actually. I like how they've gone a little bit outlandish with this one. Of all the championship home kits, if you stack them all up against each other, this is one that's going to stick in your memory, and I actually quite like it for that reason. The sponsor fits in quite well, and having seen some of the action shots of the Norwich players wearing it in pre-season, I think it's one of those kits that maybe looks better in the flesh than it does on some photos as well. All in all, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Outlandish and creative, so why not? After that, we land on the Plymouth Argyle home kit for next season, and I think Puma have absolutely smashed it with this one. One of my favourite kit releases of this championship season so far. Absolutely love the away kit as well, but we'll get into that on a future video. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that green kits don't usually do it for me. They're actually usually probably my least favourite, actually. But something about this one is just firing on all cylinders. We spoke previously about me absolutely loving the gold trimmings, and I think that the gold and green combo complements each other so well on this shirt. Not too outlandish and crazy, and I actually think that the sponsor in the gold fits in with the rest of the shirt fairly well in this example. Like how the badge has got the tint of gold on as well to fit in with the rest of the shirt, and all things considered, I think this is my favourite one so far. I'm giving that a 9 out of 10. After that, we get to the Preston North End home kit for the upcoming season. I am so glad that we've finally gone ahead and ditched the Nike template tops. They were the absolute death of me doing these videos in previous years gone by, and I think that this one is such an improvement on some of the kits that we have had in recent years. Fairly simplistic but stylish kit for me, like the faint black stripes that we got going on this one. I think it brings the whole shirt together really well. Some nice touches on this one, love the trimmings on it. All things considered, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Really solid attempt in terms of Preston home shirts, and probably one of my favourite North End home kits in quite a while. After that, we get to the QPR home kit for this upcoming season, and do you know what? Usually there's only so much that you can do with white and blue hoops, but I like the twist that QPR have put on this strip this season with the red trimmings. I actually think it brings it all together quite well. Like how they've kept that consistency with the badge, the kit manufacturer, and then on the hoops as well. Gives the whole kit a nice sort of feeling throughout where no point feels too disjointed. Like how the sponsor fits into one of those hoops perfectly as well. And overall, I think that's a pretty solid and trendy looking kit. I'm giving that a 7 out of 10. After that, for the Rotherham kit for the upcoming season, I really like the idea behind this one. The execution, I felt like it could have been pulled off a little bit cleaner. They've obviously gone for a floodlight design on the basis of this shirt. Maybe if that was a little bit more subtle, I could rate this one a little bit higher personally. Just feel like it's a little bit too contrasting with the rest of the shirt, that it's one that you sort of need a second glance at, but maybe that's just my personal perspective. I like that they've tried to put a unique twist on it, albeit not my favourite kit that's dropped this season. I give it a 6.5 out of 10 though, because I do like the uniqueness of it and what they've tried to do. After that, for the Sheffield Wednesday home kit, I don't hate this one, I'm just not quite sure about the sponsor. I've seen a few pictures without the sponsor, and I actually think the kit overall looks a lot cleaner. Some championship kits I think are definitely that way. Sheffield Wednesday have had some banging home kits in years gone by. I'd sort of put this one somewhere in the middle. Not the biggest fan of the yellow trim on it either, albeit it's not a kit that I hate, and without the sponsor I actually think looks quite clean. Overall, going quite middle of the road with that one, 6 out of 10. Not my favourite release this year. After that, we get to the Southampton kit. I totally get this one is a throwback, and some of you retro lovers will be loving it. For me personally, I just can't get on board with this kit. It does feel like two kits sewn together in one, and had they committed all the way with one of those designs, maybe I could get on board with it. I get the quirky factor to this one as well, but in terms of the overall presentation, I just think it looks like a bit of an eyesore, to be honest. And this is going to be the most Marmite kit of the video probably, because I've already seen several people online absolutely lauding this kit, but for me personally, it's just something that I would never buy in a million years. So if you are digging that kit, full strength to you. For me personally, I just can't get on board with it. It's getting a 4 out of 10. Stokes kit for the upcoming season, quite standard really, nothing too in your face, but they've kept it quite clean and simple. Not a massive fan of the big white panel on the back of this shirt. Always prefer the stripy shirts when those stripes do run continuously throughout the kit, but you know, in order to fit the name and number on the back, they have opted for that white panel. All in all, giving it a 6 out of 10, middle of the road for me. Quite like the look of the new Sunderland kit, to be fair. In contrast to the Stoke kit that we just saw then as well, they do have the stripes on the back of the shirt. They don't have a big ugly white panel, which I think really adds to this one as well. Sponsor I also don't think is too out of place with this Sunderland kit either. I think the home kit is my favourite of the kits that Sunderland have released so far. Overall, going to give that one a 7 out of 10. The stripes go quite like it. After that, for the Swansea home kit, and I'm really not sure about this one, to be honest. Swansea fans, I'd welcome some of your comments down below. I actually don't mind the sponsor of this one. I think it adds a bit of touch and flavour to the shirt overall, but the overall design pattern, I just think this one is a little bit messy. Not always the biggest fan of a badge in the middle either. That's what they've opted for in this one. The sleeve pattern design paired with the plain white top in the middle, overall combines for a pretty average shirt for me. I'm giving that a 5 out of 10. The Watford shirt is definitely a striking one that will stand out, and to be honest, I think if this was a Dortmund release, you know, Borussia Dortmund had released this top, I think a lot of people would get behind it. The only thing that really ruins it for me, because as the design goes, I actually quite like it. No, it's not going to be a lot of people's cup of tea, but I like the uniqueness of it, like how much black there is to contrast with the yellow. But the sponsor is ridiculously big on this one. That was just toned down a little bit and just shrunk ever so slightly. I think Watford really would be onto a winner with this one. But because of how ridiculously big that sponsor looks, I'm going to have to knock a few points off. Overall, I'm sort of around probably a 6 out of 10, but without that sponsor, I'd be up at an 8. And then finishing it off with West Brom's home kit for the upcoming season. Really nice kit launch they did for this one with quite a touching video. A big fan of that. Make sure to go check it out if you've not seen it. In terms of the kit itself, I think this is a pretty clean looking kit. Not the biggest fan of the back. Wish the stripes extended to the back fully. I think comparing this one to last season's home kit, I do think I slightly prefer last season, but still a solid looking shirt nonetheless. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There we have it though, guys. Those are all of the championship home kits for the upcoming season that have been released so far, and what I personally make of them. I'd like to get some of your thoughts in the comments down below. This is bound to be an opinionated video, and I'm not expecting all of you guys to agree with everything I've said today, so do get your thoughts down below. And if you'd like to see a part 2 for the away kits, make sure to go ahead and show your support on today's video. Apart from that though, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.